Yeah, the next SCP is Eternal Affairs. It's the next number after 2410 is 2411.
Internal affairs. How fun.
All right, item 2411, 2411. Object class neutralized. Okay. Special containment procedures. 2411 is to be kept unloaded, fitted with a custom built lock, and secured in a low value item storage locker at Set 30. Update. Following its neutralization, record of SCP-2411, including its testing log, is to be maintained in the event that anomalous objects with similar or identical properties are discovered. What? Sorry, I was clicking things. Description. SCP-2411 resembles a typical redacted model redacted snub-nosed revolver. It can be unloaded, loaded, fired, disassembled, and reassembled as normal. The only physical alteration from a standard model is the phrase, "for internal use only," inscribed where a serial number would usually be. It appears to have the anomalous property of causing the instantaneous death of multiple subjects. This means of triggering the means of triggering the anomalous property or determining its targets are unknown. SCP-2411 was recovered following a homicide investigation in Redacted where 4 employees of a small insurance company were found dead of gunshot wounds in the forehead. The 5th and final employee was found dead at their home in what appeared to be a suicide unrelated to firearms. Police found writings of this employee's home indicating homicidal intent towards their co-workers, making him the initial suspect in their investigation, but they were unable to place the 5th employee at the scene of the crime. They were unable to find witnesses who had seen or heard the shooting in a busy part of town in broad daylight or explain the perfectly identical facial injuries with no physical traces such as casings or bullets. Local investigators local investigators appeal for help from federal authorities, which led to Foundation involvement and recovery of SCP-2411 from the home of the 5th employee. Testing with the SCP-2411 has been able to replicate the effects due to the concerns that it could come into the possession of an entity capable of reactivating its properties. 2411 was disassembled and its material components were individually destroyed on Redacted. SCP-2411 is now considered neutralized. By Site Director Command, Redacted, the testing log SCP-2411 is restricted to Security Level 4 personnel and above only. So, it cannot hurt anyone. It's literally melted into...
There's more.
There's more. There's
okay.
access granted and then access granted.
Yeah, I have it open, yeah. Containment class, Keter. And disruption class, Connect. Risk class, critical.
Hey, Jerry, do you want me to read what those mean?
Disruption class. Connect.
Alright, Connect is the known or potential disruption that would be extended to a number of people roughly defined as a city. The anomalous effects could spread with fairly significant speed, fast enough to cause concern. Foundation would find it moderately difficult to neutralize its effects. And the critical...
How about the risk class level?
The critical is, this risk class should only be chosen when the object's effects will be near instant or extremely severe. It does not necessarily need to cause an actual death, but the death is incredibly likely and expected. Any individual nearby will feel the effects near instantly, and the possibility of recovery is impossible.
You know what? That makes sense. Special containment procedures. SCP-2411 is to be locked inside a secure, opaque container and placed in a high-value item storage room in Site-30. This room is accessible only by the site director when accompanied by at least 2 other Level 4 personnel. This custom-built lock on Site-2411 is to not, on SCP-2411 is to not be removed without approval of the Level 5 personnel. Foundation personnel are not permitted to directly handle SCP-2411 under any circumstances. 2 guards are to be posted outside of the storage room at all times. Under no circumstances are researchers or legal counsel will have participated in experiments with SCP-2411 and are aware of its properties are to be allowed access to Site-30. Description: SCP-2411 resembles a redacted snub-nosed revolver. The only physical alteration from a standard model is the phrase for internal use, inscribed where a serial number would usually be. When a person who is employed by a company for the user places the end of the SCP in their mouth and pulls the trigger, it results in the instantaneous death of all other company or organization they belong. Oh!
Jesus!
Oh, that's spicy!
By the way, Jerry, you're cutting in and out a bit.
Yeah. I was about to say something.
Yeah, I might want to
Okay,
exit
let me
and
just-
rejoin.
That's already fucked.
Do I sound better now?
Yes.
Yeah, you sound better.
Okay, I thought that might be. That's magical. Okay, let me keep reading. When a person who is employed by a company or organization, henceforth the user, places the end of the... Oh yeah, I already read that part, sorry. The cause of death appears to be a gunshot wound to the forehead, though no cause of this injury can be found. SCP-2411 can be unloaded and still produce this effect, meaning it does not necessarily kill the user. Oh gosh. So it kills everyone but the user if it's not loaded?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Implications of SCP-2411's anomalous properties were not understood at the time of its recovery. Standard testing with D-Class personnel being found considered before the...
Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Standard testing with the D-Class personnel was being considered before the Ethics Committee flagged testing with the SCP-2411 for review by the Foundation's legal department. The legal department determined that D-Class personnel, for purposes of SCP-2411's hypothetical effects, were to be considered employees of the Foundation. Accordingly, if testing had proceeded with the D-Class personnel using 2411 as intended, it likely would have resulted in the instantaneous death of all persons currently employed by the Foundation. Oh!
That would
Yeah.
be horrible.
It's like, okay, how about we have the serial killer use this? It's like, no. If you do that, it could kill everyone.
We're all die.
Yeah, okay. Oh gosh. Emergency testing was conducted with prison inmates from the redacted correctional facility who were not granted D-Class status. Representatives from the Foundation's legal department joined researchers to provide legally valid employment contract certificates or incorporation and other forms of documentation as needed. The following observations were: SCP-2411 has no effect when the user is an unemployed person. 2411 has no effect when fitted with a custom-built lock that would impede the normal function of a firearm. If a corporation was legally dissolved, SCP-2411 would have no effect when the user used by any it would have no effect when used by any former employees. 2411 may affect sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations, not-for-profits, charitable or religious organizations, and government. Oh, are you saying you could shoot yourself as a member of one government and it might kill all of the staff of that government?
Wow.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh,
Spicy.
okay. Verbal contracts were recognized as valid by SCP-2411. SCP-2411 has no effects if an employed user resigns, quits, retires, or is fired from their position before pulling the trigger. Verbal indication of termination of contract from either of the employee or their employer is sufficient to avoid the lethal effect. 2411 must be in a user's mouth to produce its effect. Researchers opted not to explore the potential of its function when the item is in any other orifice.
All right, D-Class, listen. Shove this gun up your ass.
A user who is an entry-level employee can cause the death of upper management and vice versa. Oh yeah, you could kill your boss by shoving a gun up your mouth. Payment is not necessary to qualify as an employee, but unpaid interns are not subject to the effect of SCP-2411. Sorry. Legal counsel drafted a charter document for Procedure Certain and Suspect Foundation, which included a provision allowing for the conscription of Class Z personnel. When used by Class Z personnel, all members of the PCS Foundation were affected, including overseeing members of the 5 Council. This appears to confirm the hypothesis about the dangers of testing SCP-2411 with D-Class personnel. Did they make a miniature fake foundation?
Oh no,
Yes.
oh no. I see the next one already.
Oh no, this one's looking like it'll be interesting.
One user was a long-time member of Redacted Gang, a white supremacist organization active in and out of several prisons in Redacted State. The sudden death of all members of the gang, an estimated redacted people, was explained by disinformation campaign as a high-precision operation orchestrated by a rival gang. This is the highest number of known victims of a single use of SCP-2411. A user who was acting as a mole would harm the organization they had infiltrated, but not the one which assigned them the mission. In other words, if the user retained a secret loyalty to was technically employed by Company B, their use of SCP-2411 would cause the death of Company B's personnel. You know what? I can't be angry at the SCP Foundation for testing it on supremacists. I want to be angry, but I can't.
Though, to be fair, it kind of sounds like it was an incidental issue. I feel like the SCP Foundation, if they had, purposefully, known that this person was a member of said gang, they wouldn't have used him. Because that sounds like an absolute headache to deal with.
Okay.
Presumably hundreds of people dropping dead suddenly. Judging by the length of that redacted people part.
Yeah.
Keelan, the people who are not affected are people who are unemployed or people who are retired.
Yeah.
That's it. If you're part of a group, you are affected.
Yes.
Unless you are an intern. Interns are not affected. You
Yeah,
need to get paid to be affected.
Oh no, it said that pay is not required, but for whatever reason, unpaid interns still don't get counted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't. I think unpaid interns are not affected because they're less treated like official members, and they're typically used as temporary workforce slavery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically a contractor that you don't pay, so they're not technically a
Yeah, and they
employee of
always
the
work
place they're
them harder
working.
than they would their actual employees.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is just one of the reasons we have an ethics committee checking our work, people. You can't go blindly testing things on D class and think it's never going to bite you in the ass. If one of them had used this, well, I'd hate to think of a world without a foundation. Just imagine if this fell into the hands of a depressed government employee. Oh, fuck. Or hell, some fry cook at Redacted. Given
I think
the
that's
only way
McDonald's.
to guarantee our safety seems to be making us all unpaid interns, I'm submitting a request of decommission this thing as soon as possible. Dr. Lorenstein.
I think that redacted is McDonald's. Oh no.
Just in a
Oh no.
McDonald's, there's just a bunch of corpses.
Oh no.
And since some McDonald's hires children illegally, but still.
Oh yeah, holy fuck. Does it did it mention whether or not it applies to like illegal employees?
No.
Like employees
Employees
that
still
were not
employee. They
legally.
it recognize verbal contracts.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's oh boy, that's fun. Anyway,
There was
I'll
some
try.
debate regarding proper object classification for SCP-2411. While the object itself poses no apparent risk or containment breach, which would be met with the definition of safe, some staff members argued that the threat it posed to the Foundation's existence meant research into its neutralization was imperative, a course of action usually reserved for Keter objects. Dr. Lorenstein, lead researcher of 2411, requested that the basic containment procedures be fabricated to prevent widespread organizational knowledge of the item's anomalous effects. Site director Wetz approved this request on November 5th of 2016 and classified SCP-2411 as a Keter class object pending neutralization. A request to decommission SCP-2411 was submitted to the O5 Council on Redacted. The Council unanimously voted to decommission SCP-2411 on Redacted. Decommission was carried out on Redacted, and SCP-2411 is now considered neutralized. Transcripts of O5's deliberation are available to one person of security clearance level 5 overseeing of the region containing Site 30 only. Alright, now let's read this. First of all, let me say congratulations on your promotion to senior staff. You hold a special position of trust and recognition for your unfaltering loyalty and commitment to the Foundation. At the same time, you've proven yourself intelligent enough to understand that we've had to keep some things hidden from our own personnel. As such, expect to know where this is going. I mean, I expect you to know where this is going. SCP-2411 was not decommissioned. Oh, fuck. It's been hidden away someplace where no one person knows exactly how to reach it, but it's under the control of the O5 Council. This was far from This was far from a unanimous decision. In fact, I voted against it. But here we are. There may soon come a time when an organization threatens the Foundation, the planet, or a baseline reality to a degree beyond anything we've seen before. I apologize that I cannot be more specific, but you will understand when the moment arrives. You will betray the Foundation and offer your services to them. As senior staff, you will have a wealth of information they can put to use. All I ask in return is a guarantee of your safety and payment for your cooperation. Preferably something in writing, a contract, if you will. Once we know that you have become one of them, and made sure to terminate your employment with the Foundation, SCP-2411 will be delivered to you. We will trust you know what to do. At this point, you have surely noticed every prior level of documentation has contained fabrications to minimize the risk produced by the object's existence. Perhaps you believe, with good reason, that you're still not being told the full story. Maybe you don't buy the idea that the object would leave its user unharmed. Perhaps it's just something we included at the lower levels to ensure that you do not hesitate out of misplaced sense of self-preservation when we need you to pull the trigger. It may be the case that nothing I can say will convince you that you will survive if you use SCP-2411. Regardless, I hope that is a risk you are willing to take if the Foundation's existence depended on you. We don't get many trump cards. I suppose it would have been a shame to throw this one away. 05-11.
Now this is an interesting one.
I'm kind of thinking world changing, because if government employees were to get their hands on it, they could really fuck up shit.
Yeah, one non-existent bullet, one pull of the trigger could destroy an entire organization. In fact, think of this. If someone's part of the mustache party, it would kill people, and they pulled the bullet, it would affect people in multiple countries.
Yeah, basically any plants or spies that are in direct relations with them. So as long as
There's
there's like
nothing lower than world changing. It's world changing.
Yeah. I guess the main thing, especially since, for one, this is a fucking awesome article. I love the layers of deception with safe neutralized. Well, it's actually Keter but neutralized. Oh, by the way, the person reading this document, yeah, it's your job to use this to fuck over any organizations we need you to. Happy hunting.
Yeah.
This was a really good article. Besides that, I wholeheartedly agree with world changing. Obviously, if there are the right hands for this thing to be in right now, it's in them.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, it getting into the wrong hands can spell either doom or great help to the whole world.
Oh god, I just realized if this got enhanced with Chaos Insurgency.
Oh yeah. Now listen, here's my proposal. As presumably some kind of random offshoot of the Serpent's Hand. We get this SCP. We have someone infiltrate the KKK and use it.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
There's
I know it wouldn't affect any of my family members.
Oh yeah. And let's just be frank, if it was to affect any of our distant familial relations, has the world lost much? Regardless.
No.
Either way, yeah. World changing appropriate with this. This was actually one of the coolest articles I've heard in a while.
And
Man,
it
it'd be
didn't
nice if it
involve
only
traumatizing
rich.
children, then ignoring the trauma.
Yeah. This stream has been a roller coaster. We had 4 SCPs. We 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 had oh what was the first one again? My brain just died.
The
Oh yeah,
destroyed airship.
the destroyer. So we've got a really spooky extraterrestrial threat written by terrible person. Then I leave, but we have Sarkic cult that could and end up leading to the destruction of entire continents. Then we have a whole bunch of traumatized children. Then we have the means to kill anyone in any organization instantly.
Yeah.
This was a very productive meeting of the Keter class reviewer council.
There's actually one thing I forgot. You know how they're saying they want to destroy the destroyer? If they do, it would disrupt time, because in Ouroboros cycle in that universe, basically the destroyer is used to kill the broken god.
Oh,
So if it's destroyed, there's
fun.
nothing to stop the broken god. Hatchet.
You ready for me to read?
Yep, I'm ready for you to read SCP-2439 slot unallocated.
All right. This one's gonna be a a fuck show, since it's one of those that affects the article. Oh. SCP-2439. Tips. Take a breather to read this every 5 minutes. It will look shifty if you take too long to clean up. Don't all read this at the same time. One reads while the other two mop. If you start to feel crook, stop looking at the lamp. Don't cover it or someone will come in. If you don't want to feel like you're insane for the rest of your life, don't read anything further. Get back to work or something. Read the whole fucking thing before you start destroying it, NA. Item number SCP-739 crossed out, 1648 crossed out, 243. Update number if slot taken. Why don't we just leave it crossed out 9001. Object class Keter. Subtext Keter equals what? Special containment procedures. Foundation personnel other than us D classes can't know this thing exists. It stays between us. If someone tries to tell them about it, fuck them up, so they won't or can't. Yeah, you'll probably get into deep shit for it, but it's better than the alternative. If someone who isn't a D class comes in and reads this, kill them. Just break their skull or some shit and scratch the wall. This is on so nobody can read it. Try and make sure you tell someone else about this first, though, so we can keep it controlled. Description. It's an idea that infects people who know about it and takes over their mind slowly. It's some ancient mind from an alternate dimension, we think, that's trying to get into ours and take over. It's smart, so it'll spread around the Foundation real quick if it gets a chance, which is why this is scratched into this wall away from the cameras. Kilroy was ear. By now, you'd be hearing that faint whispering. That is the thing we're containing. If you can hear it, there's no turning back now. You're stuck with this until you die, which you can do early if you want. We don't know how long it's been already, since everyone seems to vanish every month. Spoiler alert, you don't get out, which makes it hard for information to get around. What we're left with is this, which is just Chinese whispers and such. We'd give it a proper number, but to do that, we'd have to tell someone, which would be counterproductive. So instead, we just get the occasional disgraced researcher to tell us when the number has been used. The format's been like this forever. I don't think any of us even know what Keter means. Okay, so this isn't the file being affected by the SCP, it's just an SCP written by D class. Okay. Whatever you do, don't let the guards or researchers know this is here. They only let Ds in here to clean up. The higher ups haven't tested the lamp in ages, I think, and this is the only room in the site that doesn't have cameras in it thanks to the lamp. It should be pretty obvious that this Foundation lot can do anything they want, so if they got taken over by something like this, there'd be no stopping it. We're fine though, since we're probably going to be dead by the end of the month anyway, which isn't long enough for it to fully take over. If you think it's getting the better of you, do something apeshit and get shot. Blaze of glory if you want. Destroying this would be the easiest way to crush this thing once and for all, yeah, but don't. Not if you don't have to. Why? Firstly, it's the right thing to do for any of yous who are seeking redemption for whatever the fuck you did. Someone needs to remember this thing exists so it's kept controlled. It shows up a first time. It showed up a first time, didn't it? What if it just did it again somewhere else if we destroyed this? What if the D's in some other site have something like this, but they don't destroy it? We keep this so we can control it. Or, if you're not down for the redemption bit, keep keep it out of spite. This is the one thing we know they can't know. This can be the last fuck you. They're obsessed with controlling, knowing, understanding everything. They use us to do this, march us to death to see how we die, use us as labor to mop up goop from a fucking lamp. We're the expendables, but with this, we have the advantage. Every time one of us dies, so they can learn something, they lose the chance to learn about one thing that would have fucking obliterate them. This is our weapon against them. The one-shot nuke that would fucking crush them to shit and hidden right under their fucking noses in a room they can't be stuffed looking at. What about assholes who just want to tell them? Refer to containment procedures first paragraph. Let's see, that was just, yeah, fuck them up. Just kill them. But don't use it. Not yet. Some of us have family and friends outside of this hell, and they would suffer. Our jailers would be used like little hand puppets by this mind, and through them the world would suffer, crushed under the boot of the Foundation. This thing can only be used once, too. If we release it too early, then they'll adapt. They'll learn to avoid it. They'll contain it. They'll survive. Then our advantage will be gone for good. We'd be exactly what they think we are, expendable. So don't let anyone use it. It isn't time. Not yet. Just in case you're the Eldritch thing, fuck off, squid face. We're worthless, sure, but we can get shit done just as well as the others. You're not getting in. Welcome to crossed out red pill, crossed out Project Lighthouse, and then finally, welcome to Pandora Force.
Even though this is supposed to be a little funny, it can be dangerous.
Assuming that this isn't just like
Yeah.
the the D class basically having the equivalent of a chain email among themselves.
Yeah.
It
So like this
sounds
the
like they do have something dangerous. They're just somehow holding it back.
yeah.
I mean, they should tell the SCP Foundation, but I get why they're not. Although you shouldn't tell it to fuck off.
Nah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for rating this, do we just take this at face value?
I'm guessing so.
Okay.
Well, was there any information saying just how dangerous it was outside that once you release it, you can't unrelease it?
If what it's saying is correct, then this could easily be an XK.
Okay, then XK.
Or at the very least, world changing. Because the idea is that,
Mm-hmm.
like, knowing about this SCP makes it so that this other eldritch entity starts to slowly take over your mind. And if it does this, say, to an O5 member, or, God's forbid, the entire Foundation, then humanity's kind of fucked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically an article that is an info hazard scraped onto a wall in the back end of what is it, the lamp SCP, where they can't have cameras looking directly at the lamps.
Yeah.
And the only reason they're not releasing it now is because once it's released, they're all basically dead and they know it, and some of them have family.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking dark.
That, and just to have one thing that's leverage over the SCP Foundation, even if they don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what it's like to have an eldritch tentacle god in your brain.
You see, here's the
I've seen a
thing.
lot of art like that.
If it's used on SCP,
No,
oh my
no.
god. Anyway, if it's used on the SCP Foundation, it can be pretty terrifying because the Foundation has better technology than the world governments.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Like, we don't, like, again, taking this as face value, because again, a part of me is like, this feels partially like it's an unreliable narrator situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Taking it at face value, we don't know what the fuck this entity wants. Like, it's not specified, but assuming that it is, going to act like most other eldritch entities in the SCP universe, then I think it's a safe assumption that it's going to really fuck shit up if it actually manages to take over the whole of the Foundation.
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
there's reasons why I think it's both real and I'm not so sure it wants to destroy everything. Because if it really wanted to destroy everything, it probably could have taken their brains down sooner. Also, you don't just write that shit on the wall that you're like the people who have you locked up won't see anyway if it's a fake. You don't like tell the tentacle eldritch god to fuck off if it's not fucking with your head already.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
But
But the issue I do have is because of the way it's being recorded, they're not doctors or anything like that that we know of. They're not really describing the Eldritch God very well. And so we really don't know what it wants or how powerful it is. Only that would definitely make big changes, and once it's out, it's out.
but
yeah.
here's the thing. I'm gonna compare it to another SCP. Basically, um, when seeing how it was like taking over the minds and like it could be really bad in Foundation, I started thinking about SCP-5000 and how the Foundation
Right, yeah.
basically wiping out the human race because of something taking over the minds of people.
Yeah.
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 So
Uh,
I guess the good thing about this anomaly is I feel like even if the Foundation did discover it, they're good enough at dealing with info hazards that it probably wouldn't get very far.
Yeah.
I think that's why one of the reasons why the D class are holding on to it.
Yeah.
After all, not only could you cause the death of loved ones, but if you release it at the wrong time, they would die, then what else would happen? They would
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Contained.
Yeah.
So like I feel like worst case scenario we'd be looking at an XK. I feel
Yeah.
like in all actuality it'd probably just be a certain group. But
Yeah.
if we're gonna go off of just like balancing what would most likely happen with the worst case scenario, I'd probably put it in world changing.
I kind of agree with world changing because, for one, we do know that the anomalous entity in 5000 does want complete and utter takeover, but like in like this SCP, we have no idea what they want.
Yeah, and I do think if they wanted to end the world, we probably would know. It'd probably not just be something that just annoys the D class.
Yeah.
We don't know
Mhm.
what it wants, but I don't think it wants to destroy or conquer the world.
That's fair enough.
For all we know, it wants to give us health care.
Yeah.
Uh,
It might want us to
fucking
dress better.
the fucking Lovecraftian monster starts taking over people's brains just to like actually convince conservatives that healthcare is a human right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we have to take care of our world. What is wrong with my
Yeah.
brain?
And one of the D class was named Luigi. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Luigi just yeah, instead of shooting the fucker, Luigi just walks up to the guy and just shows him a picture of this.
Man.